Hello, a very good morning and welcome to Misano, our final European adventure before we pack our bags and head east in around a week's time to head to Motegi for the Japanese Grand Prix. But our focus here, of course, the Grand Prix of San Marino and the Rimini Riviera, which has kicked off with the VR46 machine of Frankie Morbidelli on top spot in arguably one of the most Frankie Morbidelli style sessions that I think we've ever seen. He was banned from the opening 10 minutes for his disagreement with the marshals after crashing out of Sunday's Catalan Grand Prix. He then went out, went to the top of the timesheets and then crashed. Morbidelli always in the headlines, and none more so than in that session right there, with Pablo Nieto confirming as well that he had a bit of a stern conversation with the MotoGP stewards yesterday, of course headed by our good friend Simon Crafar, who basically said to him, if we see any more incidents on a Sunday involving another rider like we saw with Vinales in Mugello, like we saw with Jorge Martin in Barcelona, it's going to be an immediate ride-through penalty for Frankie Morbidelli. So he is on his final warning when it comes to any kind of incidents. And the weekend, well, started bad, got a lot better, and then got a lot worse again. So not the ideal weekend starter for Frankie Morbidelli, but let's see what he can do on a weekend of celebration. Of course, you might have been able to see on social media last night and this morning when you woke up as well that there was an incredibly special event in Rimini last night called MotoGP Iconic, as we officially unveiled a brand new Tower of Champions, the trophy that we imagine Marc Marquez will be adding his name to when we get to Valencia for the final round of the year and the MotoGP award ceremony after that. But we also unveiled a brand new MotoGP Hall of Fame. 17 riders being inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's a level up on our MotoGP legend status if you are the winner of 2 MotoGP World Championships or 25 MotoGP victories. You'll be instantly inducted into the MotoGP Hall of Fame once you've hung up your levers. And as I say, 17 riders are now a part of that very, very elite club, including, of course, Valentino Rossi. There last night were the likes of Giacomo Agostini, Freddie Spencer, Kevin Schwantz, Danny Pedrosa, Casey Stoner, Jorge Lorenzo, and Valentino Rossi. Also going into it are the likes of Mick Doohan, Wayne Rainey, Kenny Roberts Sr., Eddie Lawson, Mike Halewood, Barry Sheen, Jeff Duke, plus a few others as well. I can't remember all 17 off the top of my head, so apologies to whoever I've missed off there. I don't think I've missed off too many. But yeah, a very, very special evening indeed, with Valentino, the final of the riders, to step up and be awarded his medal from Donna Sports CEO Carmelo Espeleta in a private function that, as I say, took place in Rimini last night. Was very, very proud and honoured to be given the opportunity to host that with my little dicky bow on. It was nice to get suited and booted, shaken, not stirred. Somebody told me, I think they were joking, they said, wow, you look like James Bond. First time that anyone has ever said that to me, and it'll probably be the last as well. As we focus in on the factory Ducati garage, of course, a huge weekend for them. Marc Marquez won't be wrapping up the World Championship as a result of Alex Marquez's efforts last time out in Barcelona, but we fully expect him to get the business done in Motegi in around 2 weeks' time. This morning, Mark, as he often does, doing the entirety of the session on the same set of tyres and looked pretty quick. This is a big weekend, though, I'm sure, for everyone in the Bagnaia camp after, well, the worst weekend of his MotoGP career in Barcelona. Friday and Saturday, he was pretty much the slowest rider out there at times. It was a pretty rough weekend. There were shoots of recovery, but Bagnaia, of course, not wanting to get too ahead of himself on Sunday evening because he has been there before and wanted to see actual progress on track before starting to get carried away with anything in particular. As that gentleman there has a very interesting, do you know what, I like his t-shirt. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, thanks, and yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. So, talk us through this t-shirt. What's going on here?
It's just a goat pushing around a retired goat. Greatest of all time.
There we go. I like it. It's nice. We're having a laugh, aren't we? That's just what we like to see.
Good to have a laugh.
Where are you from, sir?
South Africa. All the way from South Africa.
Whereabouts?
Johannesburg.
First MotoGP event?
We were at last weekend in Catalonia, and then this one, second one. So
Nice. Well, lovely to meet you. Cheering on. Well, apart from Mark, the Binder boys as well.
Brad, yeah, of course, here for Brad and Darren. So hoping they, get some momentum for this weekend. Looking forward to it.
Oh, well, nice to meet you. Enjoy the weekend. There we go. Travelling from far and wide to enjoy MotoGP. I would just like to say on camera as well, that is not an official bit of MotoGP merchandise. So you can't go on the store and buy that. And we certainly don't advocate that. But we're having a bit of a laugh. We're having a joke, of course. I like a laugh and a joke and people making up their own merchandise. So there we go. As you see, Frankie Morbidelli down here. Shall we grab a word with Frankie? Let's grab a word with Frankie. Let's see what kind of a mood he's in. Sometimes he is a talkative chap. Sometimes he is not. He's posing for photos with, I'm sure, a few friends and family down here. So we might be able to see what kind of a mood he's in, as we say. Hello to Frankie. Of course, was fast, as you can see the scuffs on the levers there, in particular on that right-hand side. The boots down here showing a few war wounds for Frankie. But overall, despite missing the first 10 minutes, fastest overall is a great way to kick off the weekend, although I'm sure there'll be some frustration with the crash. And we'll just see before he dives in how he's feeling ahead of practice this afternoon. Of course, big weekend. There's going to be a special livery for the VR46 squad as well, with the Italian tricolore on show. Frankie, how was this morning? Up and down?
Up, up, up.
Yep.
It was.
You know, it was very fast. Of course, it's small off at the end, but it looks like everything's okay. How was the track? Fast?
Track is beautiful, as always. It's our home track. We got to do good here, in front of all of this crowd, and we started well. We started with the right foot, of course. The 10 minutes penalty and the crash at the end are something in between the way. But yeah, the speed is there.
That's what we like to see. Enjoy this afternoon.
Thank you. You too.
There we go. Frankie Morbidelli. Up, up, up. There was no down for him. He's happy with his performance. Straight out of the gate here on home soil as he meets friends here. Have travelled, about 10 minutes down the road from Tavulia and the local region. He's going to have plenty of support this weekend. So great to grab a word with Frankie Morbidelli. Right, follow me, because from one end of pit lane, I want to head up towards the complete opposite end of pit lane and down at Yamaha to talk their brand new V4 engine, which debuted this morning. A historic moment that Yamaha, for the first time in the modern MotoGP era, rolling out an engine that was not an inline four, opting, it seems, for next year to finally make the switch across to V4. And Augusto Fernandez, you have to say, started off magnificently. There was a small technical problem. I'm going to sneeze in a minute. No, I've managed to catch it. There was a small technical problem, of course, saying electronics. They're not going to say that it was an engine failure. They never will. But aside from that, just looking at the timesheets, 1.2 seconds off, I think, in the end. Around 2.5 seconds off the all-time lap record when that engine has not been fully wound up yet, because they're in data collecting mode to try and develop it for the future. It was bottom of the speed charts, which shouldn't come of concern, because they're very much just trying to learn as much as they can about this engine at this current moment. So the fact that they were not dead last, the fact that they were fairly reasonably competitive, is a very, very good sign for this very, very early stages of Yamaha's new V4 project. It's a very different looking machine, incredibly alarmingly, well, not alarmingly so, but surprised me at just how much narrower it is as well. Of course, the inline 4 engine as a package has to be so much wider, so the bike itself must be wider to be able to fit it inside. So they've managed to save in terms of aerodynamics and so much more, be able to be so much more compact with the V4 that Augusto was out there riding. And Mario Meregali, of course, team boss at the factory, confirming that not only will we see Augusto in action this weekend, but we'll also likely see him wildcarding at the Malaysian Grand Prix in Sepang, and then again at the Valencian Grand Prix, our final round of the year. So there's going to be another couple of visits for the Yamaha V4 before we then fully expect to see it under Fabio Quartararo and Alex Rins, Jack Miller and Toprak Razgatlioglu in 2026. It does seem as though all arrows are pointing in the direction of them running the V4 package in 2026. It wasn't a great day for Miguel Oliveira. A couple of crashes for him at the start of this one, so not ideal for the Portuguese rider, who we understand is in talks with BMW about a move to World Superbikes next year, as Miguel just flies past us there, and has an offer on the table from Aprilia as well about becoming their official test rider. But I think Miguel's appetite to race may well take the lead in that decision-making process, and it looks like he may well be heading across the World Superbikes next year to team up with Danilo Petrucci. As we, why don't we squeeze through here? Let's see if we can squeeze through. Sorry. Hello. See if we can grab a word from someone with regards to the Yamaha concern, because it was a good weekend in Barcelona, of course. Fabio Quartararo knew he was always going to struggle at the start of that Catalan Grand Prix with the medium rear tyre when grip was at a premium, but as the grip started to drop, he was able to come back through and get a pretty solid result in the end. And his performance on Saturday in the sprint, one of the performances of the season so far for me, he was absolutely magnificent, was Fabio Quartararo. And I'm sure with grip here as good as anywhere on the calendar, the surface here is magnificent. So tip of the weekend, Fabio Quartararo, keep your eye on him in Q2 tomorrow. This is going to be one of those weekends which is circled, and we'll be thinking pole position is on the cards here. Do we see anybody? I don't think we do. They're in full debrief as we see Maio Meregali here. I spoke with Maio earlier on, so I'm not going to bother him for that one. What else can we wrap up? Aprilia. Macabetecchi, strong start to the weekend for him. KTM as well, a little bit of a news update. Enea Bastianini, you might have seen, has officially split from Alberto Giribiola, his crew chief. Giribiola will be moving across, it seems, to the Pramac Racing Squad to become Toprak Razgatlioglu's first ever MotoGP crew chief. Xavi Palacin, who was technical coordinator down in the Tech Trois side of the KTM concern, steps in for the remainder of the year. And I think that should be that. Have we got anybody else? I don't think we do. Maio here just chatting away. Who's he chatting to? Some Yamaha personnel, so we won't bother him. And yeah, there we go. Inside the paddock, done and dusted from here in Misano. We've got a word with the man fastest overall, so that'll do for me. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. It looks like being a fun one. Will it be Marc Marquez to regain control? 15 in a row, stopped by Alex Marquez. He wasn't able to enjoy his Sweet 16. Can he get a run going again here in Misano? We'll find out tomorrow in the sprint and in Sunday's Grand Prix. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you check out all of MotoGP's socials for that MotoGP Iconic event. Well worth checking out. And join us for commentary this afternoon. Kevin Schwantz, a new Hall of Famer, is going to be in the commentary box with us. So make sure you tune in for that one. It's going to be well worth listening to. Thanks for your company. No problem. We'll see you later on.